Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Fires upfield into the end zone, and it's caught! Jelani Woods! Touchdown! INDY!
A 43-point night for Tyrese Halliburton.
How do you like that, partner?
Galloway drives all the way to the hole, throws it up, got it! And Indiana's got their first lead of this contest.
I mean, that's a goddamn Emmy winner right there.
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hey, everybody. Welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Monday. Thanks a lot for joining us. Coming to you from high atop the 18th fairway of the golf course at Eagle Point Studios, as always, and powered by Andy Moore Honda. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com for the best in new and used vehicles and service as well. Also, don't forget the Wow Food Group family of restaurants in and around the Bloomington area. Great places like the Rusty Gator down in Bedford with a exquisite Cajun cuisine that I don't think you can find anywhere else. But appreciate you joining us and being on board today. Plenty to get to. As always, great lineup. The Fish, Don Fischer will be joining us. Dustin Dopirak. And we will likely hear from IU football and a few other things. Plenty to talk about as the college football weekend was a wild and wacky one. Bad for Indiana. Not they win, but in very, very ugly fashion. The Colts are going the opposite direction. Winning games are not supposed to win. There's nothing more you can ask of any team. When they win a game, you're not supposed to win. But it would probably be better for them if they weren't winning those games from a drafting standpoint next year. But what are you going to ask somebody to lose? No. Ohio State, Notre Dame. Wow. Colorado. AP top 20 out. The Steelers plane had to make an emergency landing in Kansas City last night. I wonder if they were able to get some Whataburger while they were there. But plenty to get to. How are you all doing? Appreciate you being with us. Everybody hitting us up on the Andy Moore Honda hotline early and often. And we appreciate all you guys. Freaking Kent jumping on from Mount Pleasant, Michigan. You know, I've been to Mount Pleasant. Actually, that was also a place where I had it's weird. In my when I used to rodeo, you remember town names. You just remember town names. You're like, oh yeah. I remember going to I remember being in Mount Pleasant. I remember going to Charlotte, Michigan, and it's not Charlotte. It is Charlotte. They make a distinction up there. But Iron River up on the UP. Trying to think of some of the other spots off the top of my head, but some great spots all over Michigan and northern Wisconsin. Which how the UP is not part of Wisconsin? Please explain that to me. It's connected to Wisconsin, not Michigan, but beautiful up there. This time of year, holy cow! You want to talk about a beautiful day, and then campfires by the night. Speaking of which, Jamie is up in Grand Rapids. Fred from Easton. Philip, yes, you are correct, sir. Indiana is extremely lucky to be 2-2. Jamie, following up, that's an understatement. Mike's on board. Gritty is on board. She wants to discuss the IU fight song being sung by Tom Allen and the IU football team after the game. We'll talk about that. That's kind of a normal thing, I believe. And I did receive the clip, and I still don't understand the question. Let's see. Pete says after the game, Allen after the game said he admitted that Indiana overlooked Akron. We'll talk about that. I think that is horse crap. I think that's an excuse. That is an excuse. Indiana. Boy, I want to finish thanking people. 5 Laughs, appreciate you being on. Dave G, hello to you as well. Appreciate you guys. Why do they not utilize Lucas more on Saturday? We'll take all your questions. Gardner Minshew, joins the Orlovsky Club. You have to explain that one to me, Philip. Tony V on board from Whitehall, Michigan. I love all the Michigan peeps, man. Schwarbs, just the 13th player to achieve 45 home runs and 100 RBIs while drawing 120 walks and scoring 100 runs in a season. It's pretty impressive because those 120 base on balls, that's 120 opportunities he does not get to hit another home run because I don't know if those were all intentional walks, but I'm going to say a portion of them were. But that's the fear, baby. That's when they fear you. Schwarbs is a feared man in baseball. Trust me. The truth is on. He'll agree with that. Philip said Orlovsky went out of the back of the end zone for a safety. Oh, I didn't see that. I missed that part of the game. So who did that? Gardner Minshew. Was it by accident or on purpose? I would hope it was on purpose, but we'll find out. But we appreciate everybody. Rudy on board as well. Thanks a lot for joining us. A lot to get to. And of course, the IU football game with Akron. Don Fischer will be joining us. We'll talk about that intently with that. Gritty's question, the fight song. John, can you explain that a little further to me? Is that something that they normally do? It would be my first question. And if so, then I don't understand the question.
Yeah, so if you follow the Indiana football Twitter page, usually after a big win, the Twitter account normally, and I'm sure all the other social media accounts do the same thing as well, but they normally post a locker room video of Tom Allen and the team doing the fight song in the exact same way that was shown after the Akron game. I feel like most of the complaints is just the fact that they shouldn't be celebrating in the way that they did. I mean, if it's normal, I mean, yeah, do it, I guess. But I think most people are saying just don't post that video after that kind of win. I think that's
not a celebration. It's a tradition.
Yes, I'm with you on that.
Those are not celebrations. That's, if that was the case, they wouldn't do them after losses. But I'm pretty sure they do them after losses as well. Because it is a reminder of where you are, who you're playing for, et cetera, yada, yada. I'm sure that a lot of these guys weren't happy. And good. They shouldn't have been happy. They looked awful. Everybody looked awful. The dropped passes were horrific. The continued penalties, critical penalties, horrific. Continued, and worst of all, horrible. It starts at the top. Walt Bell has an allergic reaction to the end zone once he's inside the red zone. Now, not until like this third or fourth OT did we see some really good plays. As a matter of fact, multiple plays that would have easily won the Louisville game. But instead of doing something to win that game, you pack everybody in on the line. You tell Louisville, we're running this ball because we're two tight ends. We're right here. It's all packed in. We're coming at you. So they told them exactly what they were going to do, and they did it. But didn't even run the quarterback sneak. That's the only thing you could have done off of that. But then that's what really was bothersome. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. That was, I don't want to go back and recover that being the potentially the worst call I've ever seen ever on fourth down by anybody. But that was not your best play. Why are you not running your best play or one of your best plays? Not even close. In this game, when they got to I don't remember the second, but third, fourth overtime, man, Jalen Lucas goes in motion to the right, going left to right. Once he gets past the tight end out into probably 10 yards past the tight end, the ball snapped. Nobody picked him up defensively. No one. And I'm sitting there screaming, dude, throw him the ball. He got all the way to the end zone and was no one within 20 yards of him and was never even looked at. I don't understand that. I know you got a redshirt freshman quarterback, but you got to give a glance. You have to notice. You see the defense. You see the defense. So if you know you have a man in motion and you see no one going with him, how do you not give it a look? Then they ran the play that they scored on and eventually went on. Another good play. Where were these plays? Where were these when you needed to get Louisville? It takes you 3 and 4 overtimes against a team you should have covered the spread on. I think that Indiana is, first of all, there's nothing to talk about in regards to Tom Allen and his job. Let's just get that out of the way. Unless you or someone you know has a check for $20 million, nothing is going to happen. That is the buyout until after December 1st of next year. Now, the only thing that could happen is IU administration could wake up and say, all right, we've got to give them some help. We have got to give them the money to go out and hire an offensive coordinator that did not come in here with a 2-23 record as a head coach, that did not come in here with that they can hire an OC that gives Tom Allen the help he needs. Tom Allen is not an offensive coach. He's never pretended to be that, but I don't know who. I guess the call was made by Walt Bell. That's still in Louisville, which I shouldn't be, but it was approved. It was allowed to happen. That's why Indiana needs a legit OC. But that's up to Indiana to give them the money to go get. I can't imagine this team as weak and horribly bad as the Big Ten West is. And they are potentially the worst division in the history of Power 5 football. They're awful. Wisconsin is the best team in the West, and they're average at best. Iowa just got smoked. What was it, 31-0, blanked by Penn State? Minnesota gives up a 31-10 fourth quarter lead to Northwestern. Northwestern. Illinois. What did they do this weekend?
They beat FAU by 6.
I thought they were losing that game, and I thought that they were going to lose to FAU. But that's a perfect point. They skimmed by FAU like IU skimmed by whoever they just played.
Akron.
Too many teams going on. And then Purdue. Purdue is actually, they need to use their acronym right now. They are PU. They're awful. They are god awful. The Big Ten West with 1, 2, 3, 4 bad teams, an average team in Minnesota, a better than average team in Iowa, and maybe a better than average team in Wisconsin. But we'll talk about all that and more. Don Fischer joining us next here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We'll get back to all that. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
What did Edgewood do this weekend?
They got beat 42 to, I think it was 41 to 25, but they scored 25 points, which they haven't done that at all this year except for the first game.
Aren't they 2-2 now? But that's
no, they're only 1-4, I think.
They got a big win over Owen County though, right?
No.
Lost
They
to
haven't.
them?
They haven't won since the first game. They
Who
beat
did they
Mitchell.
beat then?
Mitchell,
okay.
and
We're
they've
trying to
lost
keep
every
up.
game since then. No, I mean it's.
They play a rough schedule. I know that. I coached there, brother.
Well, their schedule. I mean, their quarterback got hurt in the second game.
Oh,
He hasn't played since then. He's their best athlete on the football field.
that is not good in high school.
No, and they've lost. They've had every week. They've had 2 or 3 guys that are key guys for them that have not played. They had an offensive tackle hurt, who was a big, strong, physical kid. They've had just. I mean, this first year was going to be tough no matter what. And the greatest thing about this is I've been down there for 2 ball games or 3 ball games, whatever it's been now. I went to Cascade, saw that massacre. But the greatest thing about it is the people there are really behind Scott. I mean, he's getting
awesome
support like crazy, and he's got good young players coming up out of the 7th and 8th grade. If he can keep them all, because obviously Bloomington North and South are trying to pirate them. But
dude, I know how tough it is. It's not a big school. I coached freshmen there when I was in college at IU, and we had 20, I want to say 27 kids total, maybe. And I'm like, whew, that's not a lot of margin for error, because you got half the guys going both ways, and we're playing Bloomington North, Bloomington South, Martinsville, all those teams. So yeah it was tough row to hoe.
Yeah, well, they haven't had, up here the last several years, they've not had a freshman team. They've not had a freshman schedule.
Wow.
So he reinstituted a freshman schedule when he got here.
That kills you. Oh my God.
Right.
Holy smokes, man. You've got to have a feeder.
Do you know that they never had a homecoming game? Homecoming.
I mean, for a long time, I guess, right? Because they used to.
They haven't had a homecoming dance or anything like that for years.
How long has the freshman team been gone?
10 seconds, guys.
The homecoming, my kid instituted a homecoming dance.
The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by the Chop Shop, home of the Indiana football and men's basketball coaches shows. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Monday, brought to you by Chop Shop Market Table and Restaurant, where each Wednesday night you can find Don Fischer and Coach Tom Allen at 7:05 for Inside Indiana Football. And when does I don't want to rush it, but when does Inside Indiana men's basketball start? That's around the corner, probably.
You're killing me. Your first thing
I know.
is Indiana basketball, and you want me, and I'm supposed to be a guy that's be positive and all that kind of stuff. And now you ask me about the basketball team after one of the ugliest football games we've ever seen.
I'm just talking about the what night at Coach's Night coming up at
Who's your hysteria, you mean?
Shop. No, I was meant to Chop Shop. When does that coach's show start?
We don't even know yet.
Okay, perfect.
We haven't put the schedule together. That's my job, and I haven't done it yet. I'm trying to get past the first, the really ugliest game I've seen in football for years.
And you cannot describe it any better than that. It was unbelievable, and I talked about it earlier. I'm like, and there was blame to go all over the place. Dropped passes again, or not again, but stupid penalties, which, golly, sometimes you just got to stop shooting yourself in the foot. Coaching issues. And then how about the Akron coach or whatever it was, strength guy or whatever.
Strength coach, yeah.
He came into the IU bench area. What the hell's that?
There were so many different things that happened in that ball game. And the only thing you can say positively about the contest was that Indiana won and actually executed pretty well in the overtime period, except for the one play in which Jackson totally missed Jalen Lucas by himself in the end zone with nobody around him.
I was sitting there screaming, so I'm like, throw him the ball. It was unbelievable. But that's the one thing I know. You got a redshirt freshman. I said this exact same earlier. You got a redshirt freshman, got a lot going on. Hell, now he's in overtime. That's a lot of pressure, period.
Right.
But you see the defense. And when you have a guy that goes in motion and nobody moves, that has got to catch your attention because there was no one within 20. The closest person next to him was in the front row of the stands, I think.
Well, it was not good. And as we've talked about, one of the here's another thing that came up in this ball game that you sit there and shake your head at, and that's the fact that 3 different times now, twice in this game against Akron and once against Louisville, you have the ball at the 1 yard line and you cannot shove it in. And they had several opportunities on the one series with Donovan McCulley there to take it into the end zone from the 1 yard line, and they couldn't get it in. It didn't matter. The push the offensive line has had thus far in the running game is not good. It is negative Nelly. And that tells you it's got to be personnel. It can't be the coaching because Bob Bostad has a tremendous coaching reputation for offensive linemen. And likewise, Rod Carey, who took over last year when they let go Hiller, did exactly the same thing. He helped the offensive line. It got marginally better as the season went on, but it was not great. And this year, we got the same problem with the run game. The offensive line is not opening holes for the run game. And it's just so concerning that this program can't find an offensive line that can help your team win. And right now, that's the biggest issue with this ball club.
Yeah, Don, 92 total yards rushing against this team. I shouldn't say this team because they played their butts off, Akron, and they deserve a ton of credit. They hold Indiana to under 300 total yards while they accumulated almost 500 at 474. So Akron played their butts off. And I feel bad for them that they didn't win the game because it came down to a missed chip shot field goal. And their normal field goal kicker, I don't know what had happened to him, but they bring in their punter as a backup, and he misses that kick, which cost them beating Indiana. And boy, we would be having a much different conversation right now.
Yes, we would. Although the conversation we're having right now is pretty much negative because we saw a football team that didn't execute on either side of the football most of the day. And the fact that Indiana was able to find a way to win it is the only thing you can point to as a positive coming out of this contest. The resiliency that we see in this ball club, the fact that they had a chance at the end was critical, and they took advantage of that chance. So you've got to say, that's the one thing you can hang your hat on coming out of this contest. But it's an Indiana football team right now that we thought had some real pluses and some positives to look forward to this season. And now all of that feels like it's maybe fool's gold, because we certainly saw a performance on Saturday that did not live up to anybody's expectations.
No, and it's scary going forward because, for one, the defense has been Jekyll and Hyde. They have played, for the most part, really, really well. The first half against Louisville was really suspect, but they shut them down in the second half, which was shocking. But then this past week, you're like, what the hell are they doing against this team? It was just, it's a head scratcher.
Right, it is. And here's the other thing. I mean, you were at the talk show last Wednesday night, were you not?
Yes, sir.
And so you heard me ask Tom Allen, well, if you did hear it, I don't know. You're sitting there in the back a little bit, so I don't know if you listened to the show. But anyway, you're sitting in the back. And I asked Tom Allen on the air, I said, Coach, what kind of week has it been in practice? And he said, we've had a great week of practice. These kids are really focused. He says, these kids look like they know exactly what they're in for this week. I'm paraphrasing now. I can't remember his exact words, but he was very positive about the practice sessions. And then I hear, and I didn't hear the post-game press conference, but he told the media after the ball game that we had to have a talk with our players on Thursday because there just didn't seem to be a focus there going into this football game. I don't know if they were taking Akron lightly or whatever the case may be. Well, that was the total opposite of what he said on Wednesday night. So how did it change in 24 hours? I don't know.
I'm not sure we're always getting the truth, or are they seeing it in time? That's another thing. I mean, they have to control that, and overlooking an opponent. I don't see any way in the world that Indiana overlooks anybody. You don't have the right to overlook anybody. Why would it's disrespectful, first of all, but not even from that standpoint. There was no one. I remember as when I was playing in high school, maybe the smallest team you had that in, but if that could change in a heartbeat. It takes one series to change that in your head, and there were more than a series that should have woken Indiana up. It didn't seem like they ever woke up.
Well, and they had no answer for DJ Irons, who played without question probably the best game that he's ever played. At least it looked like the best game he's ever played, because he was very inconsistent in his performances last year and at the start of this season. That was the knock on him, that he had not been very consistent with his performances. And I watched some of the Kentucky game, and he had a couple of plays in that ball game where he ran well and that kind of thing. So you know, this guy's capable of doing it. He's got athletic ability and he's got speed, and he looks like a pretty smart guy. At the same time, Indiana didn't contain him hardly at all. I mean, he ran lights out every time he ran the football on a broken play or a quarterback called play. He ran past Indiana defenders like they were just standing still. I mean,
he was their leading rusher and passer, right. Don. He had a total of 141 yards rushing. I
mean, Lingard goes for 113 yards, their running back, but 71 of those were on an Indiana lack of execution on a touchdown run. So you could look at this ball game and you could start tearing your hair out immediately, because there wasn't anything that was positive about the performance except that Indiana found a way to win it at the end.
Yeah, and the only thing that I think is hopeful for Indiana is that, unbelievably, this is going to end up being the worst year for the Big Ten in my recent memory. I can't believe how bad the entire West Division is. Wisconsin's the best, and they're above average. Iowa just gets smoked 31-0. Then you've got Minnesota, who gave up a 31-10 fourth quarter lead to Northwestern. Illinois barely beats FAU. Purdue is now 1-4, I think. Rutgers, Michigan State, Indiana in the bottom of the East. And then, of course, you've got the juggernaut with Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, and Maryland, who is the next opponent who is really trying to climb up into that that spot that has long been held by Michigan State, that Indiana was trying to get to, and they're looking good. I mean, they put it on Michigan State last week.
Well, Talia Tungavaloa, if you thought DJ Irons was good, stand by, because Tungavaloa is special. I mean, he is obviously he scorched Indiana last year. He's got to be licking his chops, getting ready for this ball game. They are 4-0. They are looking really good. They have played everybody tough, and they've beaten everybody significantly that they've played up to this point. It's going to be a huge challenge for this Indiana football team, and it's Indiana's first game away from Memorial Stadium, outside of the Lucas Oil Stadium game in Indianapolis, which is supposed to be your home game, which didn't look like a home crowd when you had Louisville fans outnumbering Indiana fans 2-1. Which makes you sick in itself. So right now, as negative as we can possibly be, we pretty much put that out there for everybody, but there is still reason to believe that this football team's better than what we saw, a lot better than what we saw on Saturday. And the 3 games leading up to that would tell us that this team is capable of turning it around.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'm shocked, because I truly believe, after seeing how they played at times, the talent is there. They have the talent to have been a bowl team. I don't think they're going to be, but they have the talent. Yeah, you do have a redshirt freshman quarterback who is going to make mistakes, like he did missing Jalen Lucas out there.
Well, think about this too. Donovan McCulley and Cam Camper are probably his 2 best receivers, at least at this point in the season. And they both had a drop in this ball game. And Donovan McCulley's was for a touchdown, because there was nobody within 15 yards of him when he had dropped the football. I mean, so it wasn't just Taven Jackson. And those drops probably cost Indiana as much as anything that Taven Jackson did the rest of the ball game. So I look at it that way too. I'm going to give Taven Jackson a break, because he is a guy that looks like he's the real deal. And the last person I want to lose confidence in is Taven Jackson at this point.
Yep. I wish he had to start from the start of the year, like I keep saying, just to get his every snap he can get, because he's going to need them. Christian Turner did a great job filling in for the injured Josh Henderson, which there's no doubt that probably hurt him as well. Josh had become a great relief valve out of the backfield for Taven. He had running the ball. As a matter of fact, before this past game, he had the highest per catch average for receivers with 5 or more catches. So he was becoming a good part of that. So I'm sure they missed him, but you've got to get over things like that. And
sure,
he's got to continue to improve, but the defense has got to, they gave up almost 500 yards to Akron. And it's like, what's going on there? Because that was just, I thought, the best unit without question, but that's going to be scary when they end up playing Penn State and Michigan. Luckily they got Ohio State out of the way. And at Maryland next, they are going to be tested like they're going to be tested like they haven't been tested yet. Ohio State is not the Ohio State team that they are now when they played them. And what a gigantic win that was for them on the last play of the game at Notre Dame. Holy crap. But Tagovailoa is an experienced, good quarterback. It runs in the family, as you can see. The Dolphins are looking great right now, but man, oh man, they're going to have to do an about face for next week, Don.
There is no question. This team has got to look in the mirror and go, we deserve any criticism that we're getting at this point, because we performed poorly, did not execute what we were trained to do. And if we're going to have a season that we are hoping to have and expect to have, we have got to completely turn things around in this next ball game, because they got a bye week after Maryland, and then they play Michigan at Michigan. So it's going to be almost a month before Indiana's back home again. And I think this is a critical game coming up on Saturday.
Absolutely. I did like a couple of the plays that they ended up calling, but not until late in the like the third and the fourth overtime. I'm like, where the hell was that against Louisville? I'm like, wow, what a great looking play that was. But Sure, I don't know. But what's up? Obviously, next up for you, Don, is Wednesday night.
Yes, sir.
Chop Shop Restaurant and Table with Coach Tom Allen. That starts at 7:05. You can go in there and sit down with him, ask questions, listen to Coach and Don, and have a great dinner.
Yep, we're looking forward to it. 7:05 on Wednesday night. It's Chop Shop Restaurant. Food's good.
Don Fischer, he is the golden voice of Indiana Athletics. We appreciate you, sir. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks for having me, Jim. See you.
Thank you. Don Fischer joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We've got a lot more coming up as Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star joins us next. We're back right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Whether it's
70 points. Woo! You could have scored a touchdown, Dustin.
Yeah, I don't think so.
You get a touchdown. You get a touchdown. You get a touchdown. That was an Oprah Winfrey game, baby.
To an extent. Yeah.
Oh, God
I feel like
damn it. I forgot to wish him a happy birthday. Son of a
Don's birthday.
bitch. Don's is tomorrow.
Oh, happy birthday, Don. Because you'll watch
I'm
this.
gonna tell him.
I know you'll watch the in-between.
Yeah.
I know Don is patient. Like, Don misses my insights. I know Don misses my insights. I do miss Don.
Well, you know what? You can start joining a little early, and you can pepper him, baby.
There you go. All right. I'm fine with it. Yeah, I could do that.
I would love.
you sound like you're losing your voice a little bit, or you
I
got a
lost.
little cold
Yeah,
going on.
it's been worse. It's been worse. Yeah, no, I got combination like kind of change of seasons.
Yeah.
Went to two
Well,
very Dustin concerts in the last. Well, it's been like 10 days now, but like went to a show on the 14th and the show on the 20th, and my parents were here this weekend, so like there was a lot of babbling and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
So combination of a lot, and but yeah, this is it gets worse than this. So
happier about.
Yeah,
Clareton is saving me this morning.
Yes, I'll wish him a happy birthday afterwards. He'll prefer that. He hates.
He probably doesn't want to talk about it.
No.
Yeah.
I was gonna wish him a happy 41st.
Probably the nicest thing you could have done for him on his birthday was not wish him a happy birthday and remind him that he existed.
He's gonna be the kind of person when he retires, he's just gonna happen.
Irish exit. Yeah, Don is Irish exiting, no doubt about it.
Guarantee it.
Wave.
And you know what?
And
he can do it. He's not on social media at all.
Oh yeah, no.
He will disappear.
Yes.
Just how he loves it.
It'll be like he was never there. Yeah.
The same way he came in.
Yep. Just be like, yep, I'm gone. Whatever. Well, nobody make a big deal about this.
How was your weekend, brother?
Good. Parents came over. Came out. First time they've been to the new place. First time they've been out since we've been.
Well, I wish you'd have had this box of wine that I have sitting here for you, so you could give to them. I was thinking about that a minute ago, Mike.
They barely drink wine, but I will. Yeah.
I still wish you'd have had it.
Alas.
All right, here we go, guys.
Go ahead.
Garnish Catering is waiting to help make your next event one to remember. Planning a great event shouldn't have to be stressful. Whether we quote you just for catering or a total event package, you can trust that you're making the right choice with Garnish Catering. Visit garnishcatering.com. That's garnishcatering.com. Garnish Catering is a proud partner of Wow Food Group. This segment is brought to you by RE/MAX Advanced Realty, Indy Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Monday, September 24th. Is that what it is? Or 5th? 25th. Holy
25th.
moly.
Getting to the end
Flying,
of the month.
man.
Mm-hmm.
It is flying. Nice weekend. Did you make it out to Home Depot? Always the important question.
Oh, I know. We got to Lowe's a bunch. Yeah, no. Parents came to visit. So that's because my dad's first time seeing my new house, right? So first off, had projects for him to start with, because it's basically like, obviously my dad is my home advisor for all things, fixing stuff and putting stuff up. So we put up shelf and rod thing in our closets. We got weird closets, so we got a lot of that taken care of. Had a moment of terror because I haven't been able to get hot water in my downstairs shower. Dad seemed to be the case that we didn't even have a hot water tube coming to the shower, and he was like telling me this project is going to be gigantic. But turns out if you actually turn the water to cold, you get hot water. And there's a reason why I didn't figure this out before. And I've
had a place like that before, my friend.
Yeah. So my dad gave me this whole thing about how we were going to have to, dig into the wall and all this kind of stuff. And when he was half ready to go do this project, I'm like, wife wasn't home yet. And I'm like, we can't do that. I can't cut a hole in my house with my wife not present, not knowing it's there. Like, we can't do that, Dad. So we end up putting it on the shelf for the week, and we end up finding out that actually you get, if you turn it to cold, you get hot water, and this isn't even a problem, but it's dumb. So yeah, had the whole, but multiple trips to Lowe's this weekend for various things. Lots of shopping, lots of hardware stores, drill bits and everything. Yeah, all kinds of work being done at the Dopirak-Slavy household this weekend.
Well, glad you got all that done. While you were getting that done, the Colts were getting some business done over in Baltimore, man. Shocking. It's hard to go into Baltimore and beat the Ravens most of the time, period. You've got a team that's the Colts that are I guess you call them kind of in flux, but not really. They're it's not like they're the Jets, but you've got Gardner Minshew, who is doing a yeoman's job as the backup quarterback with Richardson out.
Richardson being out. Yeah, no, we watched that game while we were hanging a mirror. Minshew was solid, and Minshew obviously is yours. Basically, he has found himself, established himself in that wing of, great backup quarterbacks that can win you a game from time to time. Obviously you're not expecting to go very far if he's your guy for the, duration. But he, one of those guys that you can really trust as your backup quarterback, that if your guy's out, he can keep the ship afloat. And they might be better with him right now before Richardson, as Richardson's a rookie and still figuring out the league. They might be better with him in there. Obviously Richardson is the long-term, investment. So if you don't win right now, that's not the biggest deal. But Minshew was solid. But defensively, they were terrific. They came up with just so many big major plays, kept, Lamar Jackson bottled up. That was terrific. And also, they did get lucky on that pass interference call. Like, if you're a Colts fan, you can't complain about the next 10 calls that go against you, just so you know. Like, that thing was blatant. It was obvious. And you were quite lucky that they did not flag that and extend that drive, because you're losing that game if you do. So they got really, really fortunate on that call. So if you're an Indy Colts fan, you got not like the next 5-6 weeks, whatever happens, no complaints. Don't want to hear anything out of you. That was blatant, but still terrific defensive play in that game. Jackson's a tough guy to bottle up, man. He is a force, and he's just a remarkable football player. And you keep a team with him on 16 points. You've done something special. So that was really impressive work, I thought, by the Colts defense. They really stepped up. I thought, perimeter tackling was tremendous. Again, perimeter defense was really, really good. Colts did some good work, and that's a big win. Just anything you get out of this season, anything that you can circle and be like, hey, remember that day when we were really good, is great. Is great. You'll take any of that. You don't expect to be a playoff team or anything. If you are just games that you can win at this point with a rookie quarterback or with your backup quarterback in for your rookie quarterback, you're thrilled for that, and that's a really nice win for the Colts.
70 points by the Dolphins. That does not happen in the hell. That doesn't happen in the NCAA much, but for the NFL, 40 points is a high score. 50 is above average. 70 is just like, what the hell's going on?
Tua's no joke, man.
Oh,
and hopefully, again, like obviously after last year's injury issues, the concussions and whatnot, you're always in fear of something going wrong in that regard, but man, Tua can play. Tua's fantastic. And the offense they're drawing up, Mike McDaniel's having a blast over there. I just obviously, it wasn't on locally, so I just got the highlights of that one. But wow. Wow. in terms of what they're doing right now, but like just getting great plays across the board. Obviously, Tyreek Hill can just outrun you. Like he's just an absolute phenomenon as far as his just ability to get behind a defense, and just outrun people in a league where everybody's fast. Tyreek Hill is somehow faster. And Tua can throw it up and have him go get it. Like obviously you're seeing Mahomes was just, it is a next level spectacular player, but like you get a lot out of the opportunity to just fling it. If you can just fling it and out, and know that your receiver is going to get past guys who are really, 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 really fast in the secondary and outrun people, just the world is your oyster. And Hill was just made just remarkable plays from what I saw. But yeah, they're really dialing it up over there and having a blast. Miami is a force. The Dolphins are going to be the real thing. And Tua is having a heck of a season. And so it's just like as much as you can get out of Tua. He looked really good before he got hurt last year. And so, you're really seeing him coming into the player that you thought he could be. And he's getting up. I think Tua at his best when he's healthy is in that upper AFC, quarterback echelon, what's basically there's some generational guys over there with Mahomes and Herbert and Lawrence and Allen. And like Tua is in that, he's in that list. Tua's right there and he's making just fantastic plays right now.
I wonder what the under over in that game was. They scored 90.
It wasn't 90. I'm sure it wasn't 90.
It's not 90. It might have not even been 45.
I'm sure
half of that.
But if it was 50, you are, walking to the bank on that one.
They could have. The record was 73, and they could have tied that, but chose not to kick a field goal. Out of. Sportsmanship. It's kind of hard to say that after you put up 70 points on somebody, but there was that. You could have done that, and then the Colts, man, that was a shocking win for them to go. I guess nothing should be shocking in a professional level.
NFL, no, it's not.
But when you go to Baltimore, you do not expect to beat Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Especially when you're running your backup quarterback, you're in a flux year, and damn it, if the Colts don't go out and get the upset of the day.
Yeah. There were some real upsets yesterday. There was a lot of, it's actually not the upset of the day. Arizona over Dallas is the upset of the day.
Yeah.
Was
that in Dallas?
No, that was in Arizona. It matters that it was at home, but Dallas looked Super Bowl ready the last 2 weeks. Dallas looked Super Bowl ready, and then they did not. Josh Dobbs, again, if it's not a bigger upset, it's at least an equivalent. But, Josh Dobbs, guy I covered at Tennessee, aerospace engineer and whatnot, just has been hanging around with third string jobs and second string jobs last couple of years, goes out and starts to beats Dallas Cowboys. So good for Josh. That's a really, really good human being. And so just was happy for him to see that. But Arizona beating Dallas is a big deal. So I would say that's probably number one. Colts beating the Ravens might be number two. I feel like there's another one on the board that I'm missing. Houston beating Jacksonville, I think, is significant. Obviously, Jacksonville's 1 and 2, but seemed like coming in obviously with Lawrence, the way they've been playing, they were a little bit more established. But CJ Stroud, man, looking legit, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, rookie quarterback, beating Jacksonville on the road. Obviously, beating Jacksonville on the road is not the same as beating Baltimore on the road, but still, that's a heck of a nice win for the Houston Texans. It's been a while since they've won games. So a lot of definitely a bit of a shakeup in the NFL this weekend. So fun games to watch, and some different, different results. Obviously, you got a couple of beat downs with Buffalo just whitewashing Washington on top of what Miami did to Denver. But so impressive, some impressive games with some big upsets in the NFL for sure, and shaking things up so far early in the year.
But that's what is fun about the NFL. And I always go back to this stat that Matt Taylor, our good friend Matt, told me that every year the NFL has 4 teams in the playoffs that were not in the playoffs the year before. Mm-hmm. And that is great because that gives you that rotation, and you don't know who is going to be the teams each year, which is I think is always interesting. The team that the Chargers get a win finally, as they beat the Vikings. Man, I thought and still think that, boy, they have one of the best quarterbacks, but it's not translating for the Chargers.
Yeah, no, it just hasn't always worked so far. I mean, Herbert's good, and Staley's an interesting coach because he does a little bit too much sometimes. But yeah, I mean, Herbert threw for 405. I mean, he's still getting there. Again, he's got a lot of talent. I think he's just sort of working into being that real superstar, franchise guy that you can trust every week. But sometimes when he's special, because he's got just a ton of talent. They got other pieces. I'm trying to think. I mean, I don't remember the last time I watched a full Chargers game, off the top of my head to kind of say what their problem is or isn't. But they got a little lucky there. Obviously, they get the interception at the end there. Minnesota blows it, so you'll take that win. I mean, Staley takes some risks, lives on the analytics and whatnot, and is known to, make a couple mistakes where you're like, what were you doing there? You overthought yourself. And I think they lost a couple games last year doing that. But they can, they can, again, they've got a lot of talent. The Allen and Herbert to Allen connection is big. Eckler's hurt, but, you get Eckler back, you're going to be all right. It's still a nice looking team. Again, it's tough. Obviously, Kansas City's in the West. It's tough to jump Kansas City. But, the Chargers are still going to be a team to be reckoned with. They're 1-2 now, but, everybody's kind of all over the place. Now, I think Miami's the only undefeated team in the AFC. So, been a lot of messing around out in that league already. So, we'll see how that thing goes. But Chargers got a good shot as anybody, I think.
The Bears fans, not a good day for them. Well, they got blitzed 41-10 by Mahomes and crew. And a couple of things of note there. Ken Griffey Jr. on the sideline as a photographer, his new hobby. Did you
I didn't know that. But he's joining up. Randy Johnson was doing it too. So him and his old Mariners teammate are photographers now. Okay.
It was funny to see. He had the vest on, the whole thing.
Wow.
Great.
I could see how he was overshadowed as far as
please do not say it, because that was the next thing. I'm like, well, I don't even want to say the name. I'm already sick of it, and I'm sick of it. I'm like, oh, please no. I had so much respect for Travis Kelce, but I'm like, no. Please,
what do you mean no? What do you mean no? What's wrong? Why would just get out of here? Like you wouldn't. No. Come on. In his position. What are you talking about? No. I'm just not a. I'm not even following you in this conversation. You're out. What do you mean?
Not even.
Good for Trevor. Good for Trevor. Like what? I don't know. Like,
thank goodness we have to take a break, because I'm not even going to say her name.
Wow.
We've got more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. The great Dustin Dopirak from Indy Stars with us. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market. I can't stand her.
Why?
Oh my God.
Why? Okay. All right.
For one thing, I've got Swiftlash.
Wait, who can't we stand? I missed that.
Taylor Swift, apparently.
Oh.
Well, because you saw this, right?
I saw the Travis Kelce stuff.
Travis Kelce. So apparently they're dating, or something. Well, one way or another, like she's watching games with his mom, so that's fast. Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know. I have a lot of Taylor Swift respect. I know. So whoever's still watching this as I'm talking and Coyle is gone. So my wife went to go see her at the Cincinnati show. But
my wife went to the Cincinnati show too.
Oh, is that right?
She did.
That's cool. We did it. It was cool. We did so like all of her college friends, she's an IU grad. So like she's got this really close group of friends. They call themselves the Divine Nine. And so we basically at this point, like I know all the husbands, right, and boyfriends and everything like that. So like we've spent a lot of time together at everybody else's weddings, and they came to our wedding and whatnot. So basically all the guys went. We went to the Reds game, and we went to Rheingeist, and got to hang out the rest of the day. And they all went to Taylor, and they all got decked out like to the end. I mean, there were so many. I don't know if you were out there for this. I mean, but like, you want to talk about sequins, flashy stuff. I mean, it was amazing. Like,
no, I wasn't in town with her. She went with her group of friends too. And it was, it looked like it was a trip though, for sure.
Yeah. It was wild. So we went to the Reds game, guys went to the Reds game, and we were leaving, and it was like all of this was descending upon like the area between Paycom and the Bengal Stadium and the Red Stadium. And it was just like, it was unbelievable. So we went from there and took like this kind of like light rail out to Rheingeist, which is about Peru, which is about, I don't know, 15 minutes away or so. But it was just like, it was amazing just how decked out everybody got. And like, I would watch Taylor for like $100. Like I'd for like a regular Taylor show, but this was like if you weren't like a 30-year-old, 30 to 35-year-old woman, like you didn't get it,
all the videos that my wife showed me, I'm just like, this. I mean, I don't mean to say it like this probably puts it in a negative light, but it looks like a cult.
A little bit.
They're all like in sync. You know what I mean?
It does. But in fairness, like I still go to punk rock concerts and stuff like that. And
I
some
went to
level,
Harder Than Life this weekend. I freaking Avenged Sevenfold and went nuts.
There you go. Yeah, I went to Frank Turner 2 weeks ago and Gaslight Anthem after that. So it's like, I get it. I totally understand it. And I was like glad that she got to experience it too.
Yeah.
Because it was like, okay, like you get to revel in this. This is like your artist, So I thought, I mean, they all had a blast. We had a blast. It was a good time. But she plays a lot of her stuff, and I'm like, you know what? Taylor can really write.
Yeah.
And like that impressed, like that's a great way to impress me as an artist. Like I am impressed by her writing talent. And so I'm like,
Okay, here we go. 5 seconds, Jimbo. That's mystonecrestliving.com for more details. This segment is brought to you by Feast Market and Cellar. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. It was beautiful out there. Dustin Dopirak, Indy Star, with us. Make sure you're giving Dustin a follow on social media, on Twitter, and at the Indy Star. Be a subscriber. Keep local papers alive. I am. Boy, I heard all that conversation in the break, and thank God I wasn't here for it. I was like, God bless America.
Don't disrespect Swift. Don't disrespect T Swift.
I don't know. She's just she's too fake for me.
I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna let this go.
Trust me. I know I'm in the minority because there are legions of people who think otherwise, and I mean legions of that are in that cult.
Yeah.
So
I'm not a Swiftie, but I'm married to one, and I'm impressed. I'll leave it at that. I have come to really respect her as a writer.
How old is Taylor Swift?
She's about 33. So
okay,
she would be. If she's not 33, she's 34.
I was just curious. I mean, my daughter. I'm sure my daughter likes her. I mean, my daughter's a junior in college, so yeah. I would buy her tickets to that.
Depending.
I'm not sure. Well, if I could get them without, sacrificing, selling a car or something.
Yeah, there's that.
But yeah. Let's see.
We'll move on from. Yeah, moving on. What we got next?
Sean says Taylor Swift is this generation's Beatles.
Okay.
I don't know if it's that, but. She has a following. I will give you. I mean, she could, vomit on paper and then sing it. But
she does it for the record.
I would like to
point that out. She, I mean, like, yes, whatever she puts out there moves. But again, it took me a while because I generally oppose, bubblegum pop music, basically anything that's on there. I grew up punk rock kid, whatnot. But I'm impressed by her writing capacity and how she's evolved in the course of time, and like how you can, like, again, she was been a star since she was like 16. So like she still plays some of that stuff, and it's like she's a different person. But it's like it's to evolve from 16 to 33 and change your sound and change what you write and change how you operate and spend that much time in the spotlight is a pretty hard thing to do. So, and there is, I think, a through line through the Beatles is like you look at how they changed from 62, 63 to 70, and how different, like I Want to Hold Your Hand is from, Let It Be and whatnot, like how much of an evolution there is in the span of that 10 years and how much they grew as artists and whatnot in the spotlight over the course of 10 years. And Taylor's been going for longer. Beatles are remarkable for what they packed in to a short spurt.
But will that music hold up like the
yes,
Beatles music does?
I promise. Among women, yes. I will put money down on that 100%.
But the Beatles holds up across lines.
It does. I mean, the Beatles are more important. Don't get me wrong. I'm not putting Taylor Swift on the Beatles level, but Taylor will resonate. These, people that are this, not even like whether you're a teenager now or whether you're a 30-year-old now or what, like any woman under and guys too. I'm not sure that there's none, but like,
and it's hard for me because obviously I have my era of music that I grew up with, but I wasn't, when the Beatles were hot, I wasn't around when the Rolling Stones were starting. I wasn't there when oh gosh, dang it, Stairway to Heaven. Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
That was not my era, but it was before me, but I've learned to love it. And it's still Pink Floyd. That stuff still holds up. It's crazy.
Sure.
AC/DC, Van Halen,
Springsteen.
That's more my deal. And I know, and look at AC/DC. They're still, it's still rock anthems. But
yeah, some stuff is just sort of like molded in clay. Like you can't like undo any of these. Like you're not going to forget because there's classic rock, because there's oldie stations, because like all this, like it will be ubiquitous forever. Some of this is kind of frozen in time. Like even like stuff from the 80s and 90s, just, like you're still going to hear Beastie Boys songs. Like, does Beastie Boys hold up? I say the Beastie Boys holds up. Like
I do. I like them. I don't know how much I like them more now than I did then. I think
probably they're more impressive than what you do with them. But anyway, we should not talk about Taylor Swift this entire segment. What else should we cover?
The top 25. How about Colorado getting? They didn't get brought back to Earth. They skipped off of Earth out of the atmosphere. I mean, wow! I thought that they would cover the spread. I didn't expect them to win that game. I expected them to be competitive of sorts, and they were neither. And I don't care about. I know that they were without Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter.
Great
that matters. That's a really good football player.
It does matter, but it didn't matter this much.
No, I think. I mean, I think seeing the one, it adds to the whole drama. I mean, like we're better off. No, like whether you like him or you don't, college football is better off with this Deion Sanders in it. This
absolutely, it's fun.
This is fun because when they get smacked, it's because somebody really wanted to do it. Like Oregon came in there. I'm like, you saw the speech the coach gave at the end. Like, like they're out for clicks. We're out for wins. I mean, they were just like, all right, we're all about smacking you around. But it's, I mean, like they're going to be competitive. Like, I mean, Colorado's going to, like this is going to hurt. This is going to sting.
Well, they've got to play Utah yet. They've got to play Washington yet. USC yet. It is not going to be.
They're going to have some tough ones. They're going to win.
Oregon is not even the toughest team. They're going to play. USC and Washington are both better.
Might be. Oregon might be real though. Oregon might be legit.
Washington is legit.
Washington's legit.
Ricketts Penix had 3 touchdowns. It was a 45-0. I get it turned on late.
45-12. I think it was 45-12 at half.
I thought I missed the game. I was so mad, and I'm like, oh, it's halftime.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was like, wow.
Yeah, that was wild. So yeah, no, that was. I mean, the guy that we didn't mention the last time, Romeo Odunze, the All-American wide receiver. Whew.
Dude, wow. Was it a punt return for a touchdown he had as well?
Mm-hmm.
He's one of those guys. I was fortunate to have Kalen DeBoer. He was on with us. I can't remember, John, if it was right before the season or if the season had started, but a few weeks back. And I was not really familiar with Odunze at that time. And boy, oh boy, they may have the best 1-2 combination in the country. I know that there are good receivers at USC, obviously, but man, because he can do so much more. Everybody talks about Jalen Lucas. Well, this guy is Jalen Lucas on another level.
He's bigger and everything. I mean,
he's on he can play in the NFL. I don't know that Jalen Lucas cannot at this moment. He's going to have to put weight on, I think.
I mean, he could be a kick returner in the NFL.
Yeah, he still have to get a little bit bigger.
Probably. I mean, he could probably be a kick returner. I mean, like he'll probably get picked up. Like, I mean, obviously he's got time, to build some muscle, put some stuff on tape, like there's a chance. I mean, I'm not going to rule him out. There are guys his size that have returned kicks in the NFL in the past. So it's not impossible for him to do it. I don't know if he is, you got to be faster. If you're smaller, you got to be even faster. But it's conceivable. But no, Odunze is a top 10 pick. I don't know when. I don't know. I don't even know what class he's in. But Odunze is going to be, first, second, third receiver taken. Like he's going to be one of those. I mean, like top 20 at worst. He's that good. So yeah, like Washington's got a chance. Washington has a chance. The last ride of the Pac-12 is going to be spectacular. And
the Pac-12 is the best conference in the country right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even like I mean, the SEC is the SEC, but Bama has fallen off. They're going to be okay. Bama's going to be okay. Like they're going to probably end up like 10-2 or something like that. 10-2, 9-3.
The Big Ten usually goes 5 deep at least as far as top 25 teams. They're 3 deep in the top 5 probably.
They're 3 really good. Yeah.
But there's nothing after that. But the 3 that they have in the same division,
all 3 of those teams can win it.
This is ironic. The Big Ten might have the strongest division in the history of college football this year, and the worst division in all of college football this year. It is wild.
Yeah, I thought Iowa was going to be the team in the West, and Penn State smacked them around. That was impressive. Just the dominance there. And so I think. But Ohio State, big win. I think Ohio State looks vulnerable, but man, they came up with some big stuff. Those are some impressive plays down the stretch. They managed to win that. Wow, Sean. All right. We'll get back to that. Anyway, so yeah, the East is impressive. Again, the rest of the Big Ten looks kind of rough. But the Pac-12 is going to be the most fun league, top to bottom. Like USC, Oregon, Washington, Colorado.
So
Oregon
fun
State,
to watch.
Washington State are good too. Like,
heck yes, they are.
The teams out of the league are good football teams.
It's nuts how deep that league is this year, and it's a shame. It just makes you sick to seeing it going away.
That they blew it. I mean, like it shouldn't be hard. You have all these, you have the Los Angeles market, you have the Seattle market, you have, the Portland market, you have the San Francisco market, you have the Phoenix market, you have, is it the Vegas market? And I'm going to read that, Herbal. Yes, I will. Kelchie's going to want that's going to be fun. That is going to be fun.
That's
He's
true.
really good at it. Oh man. So it's going to be fun. Like I think you are seeing a little bit of a we are going through one of those kind of change of eras thing in college football. You're seeing some teams that have been kind of by themselves at the top are ticking down a little bit and making everything. It has a chance to be a more interesting season. Florida State just beat Clemson. We've had Clemson. What was I going to say? Clemson's got 2 losses. Alabama looks shaky. And so remember a couple of years ago, those were the only teams that mattered in college football, like not long ago, 5-6 years ago. So like those guys being vulnerable, again, we talked about this before. When does Georgia play somebody? They let UAB score some points this week. What was that even about? So we're going to see just how all this goes. It's got a chance to be a season that shakes some things up. that, move some things around, and then we're going to go, back in the next year, and everything's going to be different in terms of leagues and stuff like that. So there is going to be a bit of you're obviously having a high level, high order sea change, but this season, just in terms of who's good, there's going to be a little bit of a sea change in who's, competitive in college football. And you can see a different playoff than we've seen in a while.
Yeah. It's going to be fun to watch the end of the season. Just think of the games coming up. They're not in the Big Ten, unfortunately, but Kansas or Washington State, Washington, USC. I mean, wow! It's just going to be fun to watch those games. But thinking of the Big Ten, unfortunately, this year the Big Ten champion will not be one of Michigan, Penn State, or Ohio State, even though the two best teams are probably Michigan and Penn State. That should be the championship. That would have been the championship next year, correct? If
that's right. Yeah, this year it'll be somebody from the West that gets smoked again. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously those teams are all going to play each other, so you're going to see Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, like you're going to see all those games. They're all going to so yeah. It's going to be it is going to be a fun little round robin from those three teams to see who wins the East, and it's going to have a chance at winning the whole thing.
Basketball recruiting is well underway for college this past weekend. Trent Sisley was on campus among a few others for Indiana. Before that, they had the guys from Montverde, Derek Queen and Liam McNeely and Gibbons. But Liam McNeely is the guy that I think that they're definitely have locked down, which that's a dangerous word to use.
I was going to say that's bold. I mean, don't get wrong. They're obviously in really good shape. I mean, they've been putting a whole lot of investment.
I should never say locked down. I think that they are in the driver's seat with them. But things change, and they change quickly. And as a matter of fact, this just came out. It's been a week, I guess now, to be honest with you. But Kansas guard Arterio Morris was suspended from the program. So, if a position opens up, that changes things. Indiana is deep in with Boogie Fland, but that seems to have come down between Indiana and Kentucky. But things can change at any time. So, it's going to be interesting to see when he makes a commitment. I don't know if that's impending. It could happen, but Indiana has 0 commitments for 24 at the moment. And it's not that it's a crisis type of thing, but you want to get something in the cupboard. So you can show other people, hey, look, here's what we have here. Which, guys like Derek Queen, he plays with, so they know, but I don't know that they end up at the same place, but it will be interesting to see when Indiana gets that first commitment and if that has an effect on others coming in. But everybody is looking at what's going to be open. Mackenzie Mbako is probably going to play the position that he will play, but he also knows that Mbako does not want to be at Indiana for more than a year. And it's not anything on Indiana. He wants to move on.
Yeah. And he probably can be, because, I mean, this is a pretty weak draft, so, apparently, based on what everybody is saying. I mean, everybody is looking at this like, you're not getting too much out of this one. So he's got a chance. I think, that's the one buck. But, I mean, I think if you have a concern about Mike Woodson, the grander Mike Woodson era, in terms of like what he's done so far, like, he has absolutely proven that he can go out and stick his nose in and have a chance always at getting big time recruits from national programs. And he is absolutely capable of making a solid case that he can take a top 30 player and turn him into an NBA player. And so that's a big deal. So I'm not trying to downplay what that is. Honestly, like when we're talking about, can Woodson recruit, I always kind of thought that was going to be the case. He was going to be able to make that case of, hey, I can get you there. The other part of it that he not necessarily was going to struggle with, but there was going to be a adjustment for him, is picking up guys who are just your program guys, your Trey Galloways. Obviously Galloway was somebody that was recruited by the previous administration, by Archie. Be able to kind of lock down an in-state kid that you're going to get 4 really good years out of, and be able to kind of keep a constant string of recruiting wins and have kind of a baseline. And that, I think, has been the one thing that you haven't seen him do, is be able to, and not that, it's a balance when it comes to the in-state, out-of-state, and I don't think you can win with just in-state guys. And so I'm not making that suggestion that if he just recruited guys from Indiana, he'd be better off. He wouldn't, because Archie tried to do that, and that didn't work. So you have to be able to balance it. You have to be able to go out and get the blue chips, go out and beat national programs for national, for players from national prep schools. You got to be able to win that way. But you also kind of have to have something that gives you a baseline, in terms of, guys that maybe are not as big of recruits, but that you can get that are going to be able to play for you, that aren't just going to, go on the bench and fade away, but are going to be 4-year guys that you can come in and, they make an impact off the bench as freshmen. They can be starters for 3 years, and guys that you can get early and kind of, get set so that you have a base of what your recruiting class is going to be. And then this is the superstars you get on top of that. And so you're getting maybe a constant stream. I mean, he really gets a recruit a year, he's going full years between commitments. But it's because he's, going all out and going at guys that can name, what program they want to go to. So it's interesting to see, how that is in terms of sustainability. This year, obviously, to fill everything out, you got to go to the portal a lot. What's that going to look like long term? So I think that's the interesting question. And that doesn't mean he's not going to be successful with it or it's not going to work. But I would say, if you're looking at Woodson, there's a lot of good wins, a lot of good things that have gone on so far. That's maybe the one question I have in terms of his overall strategy, overall program building ability, is to get sort of standard guys. And he is getting the Sisley. He's going after the big guys, the Sisleys, the Harrelsons, guys like that. And I don't know enough about the class.
This is not a great deep. It's not. This year is not a deep class. Right. The best player obviously was Flory Badunga, who is not. He's an in-state kid because he plays at Kokomo, but he's not from Indiana. Didn't grow up here. So I guess you want to count that or not, but not a great class next year. Oh my gosh, you got. Francisci, like you mentioned, you've got the
Jalen Harrelson.
Jalen Harrelson. Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, there's a lot of guys. There are a lot of guys in that class that Indiana is looking at and recruiting hard. Trent Sisley, one of them. If anyone thinks that they're not, he's not a priority, is crazy. I
don't want to make the case. They definitely have identified the top of the food chain. In-state guys. I'm not trying to say that they haven't. Okay, I'm saying more again, they haven't necessarily recruited a Trey Galloway. Gabe Cups, but that was a guy who was already being recruited by the previous. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be in-state either. But just guys that are sort of solid program foundational type guys that, you think and again, the portals changes it up too, but you think you got a chance of getting 4 good years out of them,
that's
I wonder
that's Trent
Sisley. It's harder to identify that. I wonder if it's harder to identify that if you're used to NBA talent, So
it probably is, but if you're wrong and they become NBA talent,
that's great.
You missed on a good side.
If you see NBA talent in a guy that nobody else sees NBA talent in, that's great. That's great. I'm not saying that if you get a guy, if Gabe Cups walks in the door and he's Tyrese Halliburton, and he's out in 2 years, then great, fantastic. That's not a bad thing. It's just, you're just wondering about getting guys that you can be sort of again, stable foundational pieces. They kind of keep your program together. And again, you got to mix them. You can't win without NBA talent, so, but it's just so I wonder if that other side of the equation is where there needs to be some improvement, I guess. But I don't know. We'll see. Maybe there isn't. Maybe this group comes in with the combination of guys they got from the portal and knocks everybody's socks off. Who knows?
Yeah, it's a weird mix that you're gonna have to have. Sure. But then again, you look last year at Dusty May, what he did with Florida Atlantic, and he didn't have NBA guys on there, at least not one and done type NBA players.
Sure.
And his whole team's coming back. So that's rare. That's two rarities. Then, you look at UConn. They were just built differently. These teams are built differently. But I truly believe the same thing. You have to have a mix. You've got to have some guys that are going to be heading into the NBA. They have to be talented. The only thing they don't have college experience. Mackenzie Mbako is a great example. He probably has NBA potential talent that will be possibly get him drafted after 1 year, but that doesn't mean he's going to have a great year for Indiana. They just see the potential because it takes a minute to grow into that, to learn. There's a lot to learn every time you move up. Yeah. So it's and you have to have guys like Trey Galloway, who I see Trent Sisley as that type, Gabe Cupps as that type, mixed in with Mackenzie Mbakos and Kel Elwares and those types.
Yeah, and there could be, CJ Gunn could be that type. Like some of the guys who, maybe Caleb Banks is that type. That's all. Who knows? Maybe that's possible. So we'll see. And again, obviously, I'm sort of talking out of both sides of my mouth. Maybe Ja'Kai Newton's that guy. Altogether possibly end up getting a bunch of those.
We won't see that until next year. Unfortunately, I'm sad to think.
That is sad. That's a shame.
But it's going to be fun. Indiana is there. It's a show. I give a shoulder shrug every time somebody asks me. I'm like,
how are they going to be?
I don't know.
No.
I don't know. I know they're going to be competitive. I know they're going to be better than average. Well, I don't know anything. I think they're going to be better than average. I think they can wind up being a top 4 team in the Big Ten. Sure. But I also know what Purdue has, and I also know what Michigan State has. So I'm not going to ignore that. Right. I know that Maryland has been doing an incredible job over there. Recruiting has picked up. Ohio State was a surprise last year. I don't expect that from them this year. Illinois is going to be tough. So I don't know. We saw Indiana do things that with the team they had last year that was really good that made you shake your head. They lost at Iowa with a 21-point lead, and then they lost at home to both of those. I mean, you can't do that if you want to be champions.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's just it's being consistent, but not, again, there's just so much has to get flipped over. It really just go from having an All-American center and an NBA point guard. Again, Jalen Hood-Schifino learned the game right quick. So, became a stabilizing force for that group as soon as, once X got hurt. And that's pretty.
What do you think the odds are that he is still at Indiana if Xavier did not get hurt last year?
It definitely would have been possible. I mean, and Jalen went so far as to say that, when I talked to Jalen at the combine.
He's not going to score 35 points at Purdue if Xavier Johnson's in the lineup.
No, not at all. So, there's a good possibility. But, he's so ready. And, watched him in Summer League. He's so ready. It's not just it's a, thing of stats or whatever. Jalen Hood-Schifino is absolutely ready to play in the NBA. And I don't know if he would have been if he had to play with X all year. He just would have been in a different role, and he would just the comfort level would have been different of just not being the guy running the show. He'd have to be doing different things, and there might be some value in that, for him long term. But him being the guy, getting handed the reins, he knows exactly what he's doing, and he's in control of a basketball game. He went up to Summer League, and it was just like he was, he might be the most game ready point guard in the draft, that was taken in this year's class. So he's very, very ready.
Very happy to have Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star with us. His next column coming out, a review of Taylor Swift's most recent concert, I think. Is that what you got up next?
Definitely. I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna write top 100 Taylor songs.
We're just having some fun. Dustin Dopirak, make sure you're following him on social media and be a subscriber to the Indy Star, where his content is available there for you. I am. So thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Pacers start next week, so start reading my stuff. I do actually have one in the camp today. 7 storylines, 7 days.
That's why I didn't ask. I thought you were still on a little hiatus, so I apologize.
No, so I actually have to work for a living now. starting this week. So it's we're starting to lead up to camp this week. We'll have some stuff coming out of the camp. We're obviously going to be following the Buddy Hield saga to see what his deal.
Yeah, a lot of questions on that. Seeing some people asking about that.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, obviously, that's the report that came out from Shams. Haven't been able to necessarily independently confirm that, but we should be able to get to talk to Buddy if he's still around by next Monday, and we'll go from there.
When we come back, we're going to talk about the college pick'ems and see who did what this week. I have no idea what I did. Dustin Dopirak from Indy Star, thank you, sir. Appreciate you. We've got more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and we'll be back with it right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Oh, good week for Jim. Not like God dang it, Taterology.
10-0, wow.
Jeez. Wasn't he already leading?
I know he was up there.
Oh, damn it. I think he was leading. Gosh, darn it. All right, so are you kidding me? Oh, I can't believe I took Clemson. I meant to change that. Damn it. I got Texas A&M right. I got Houston right upsetting UCLA. I got Kansas right over BYU. And I missed on Ole Miss at Alabama. I got Washington State right. I picked Ohio State, surprisingly. I picked Missouri correctly and Kansas State and North Carolina. Oh, my God. I'm really upset about I should have gone 9-1. I should have. I meant to change that. Daggone it. Damn it. All right. Who's where? I'm 28-12 on the year. That's an 87%. That's after a 5-5 week last week. No, we have a new number one. Holy moly. Did say, well, that's not quite right. Taterology is, no. Justin B is in first, it looks like. But how is, I'm confused. How can he be number one? They're both 33. Oh, he's got more wins. Holy smokes. What did you do this week, man? Did you go 10-0? Freaking, he picked Penn State correctly. Oh, man, he had a 10-0 week. One, correct. Oh, now I know why Andrew Jones wanted to check the score. He's leading, baby. 33-7 on the year. 99.9%. He's got 330 points.
All right. Excuse me. Bird, come back from break, and then you'll have one more you need to take in about 10, 15 minutes or so, and then we'll wrap up at 10:40. Here we go.
Tomahawk steak or a grouper filet, and enjoy it cooked to perfection in Chop Shop Steakhouse. Chop Shop Market and Table, a part of the Wild Food Group, is your butcher, baker, and fish house, no matter where you live.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville and Evansville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. A beautiful day to start out. Lots of football over the weekend. And speaking of which, our college football pick'ems. Andrew leading it. Andrew J. Man. Let me go backwards to where am I? I'm in tie for fifth 15th, which of course there's like a Andrew. Boy, we have someone alone in first. Andrew is all by himself in first place. Justin B, you are all alone in second place by a single game. Taterology, you are in a 4-way tie for third with Caleb, Mark, and Bill O. And then we get down to Fred, Jason W., Bill, our buddy Bill. I'm not even in the next group. Man, I'm tired. It goes down to 15th, which is basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's kind of the 6th slot, but holy moly. But we had great weekends by Andrew. What did you do? You go 10-0. Is that what you said? Yes, he did. I should have gone 9-1. I went 8-2. I can't, but I meant to pick the Seminoles, but he got them all. Seminoles over the Clemson, Texas A&M with a grinded out win over Auburn, 27-10. The Utes beat UCLA. He had that. Kansas State 38-27 over BYU. A little closer than I thought, but he had that. Alabama. I thought Ole Miss was going to sneak in there and get an upset. That's one that I missed, but he did not. 24-10 for the Crimson Tide. How about the Cougs, man? Out on the Palouse. Washington State. They knock off number 14 Oregon State 38-35. We both had that. And we both also picked Ohio State over Notre Dame, although I thought Notre Dame was going to win that game. And you talk about a game. Ended on the last play of the game with like the tush push or whatever. Also on the picks, Missouri over Memphis, Kansas State over UCF rather, and North Carolina handling Pittsburgh very easily. So great to see everybody up there. Man, how many do we have total? Where is that? 30, looks like. 30 people up in there. Jump in at any time. Brad Nix is on there. Bo's brother, Oregon quarterback. I'm way down. Holy moly. I'm in that tied for 15th. 28-12 on the year. I'm 28-12, and the leader is 33-7. So 5 games. Not impossible to make up, but I cannot. That 5-5 week just killed me. I'd be up there. How about our boy Dylan Sin? He jumped in. How was he this week? I ripped on him for the earlier this week. He goes 8-2 this week. So he picked the UCLA over the Utes. That was a miss. And he picked Oregon State over Washington State. That was a miss. And his only 2 misses of the game. And easy to do, but good week for Dustin or Dylan. We'll talk to him about that. But yes, Jamie wants to know, how hot would Tom Allen's seat become if we drop our game at home against MSU? Would that force the administration's hand? That's an easy question for me. No, and no. I don't think that if Indiana loses the rest of the games on their schedule, there is anything that they can do. I mean, yes, they can fire him, but I will say it over and over, until December 1st of 2024, which is after next season, the buyout is $20 million. $20 million. Nobody is writing that check. IU is not going to write that check. I just don't. in any way imagine seeing that. What I could see them doing, and in my opinion, they need to write a check for an offensive coordinator. And if that is something they could do, that would be a lot less expensive and probably a much better in return on the agreement, or on their investment, rather. Sean asks, is the $20 million buyout actually less expensive than the lost revenue of the apathy of going into another season being there? Well, you would think that people quit coming, 20 million. No, because nobody comes to IU games anyway. They don't stay. They were down 10-3 to Ohio State and they left. People are not going to stay. Last year, the great close games against Illinois that came down to the last second, they weren't there. So, no, it's not. They're going to get paid by the Big Ten the money that they get paid by the Big Ten. Now, is the Big Ten going to be happy about the fact that you have programs like Indiana not making bowl games, which brings more money into the conference as a whole, because they split everything equally? You saw Florida State moaning and complaining that they bring in more revenue to the ACC, which when they were making their argument, it looked kind of dumb. Well, now it looks a little bit more feasible again. They're back to being Florida State. They went into Clemson and won for the first time, I think, in 10 years. They're the favorite to win the ACC now. They're on par to get into the college football playoffs. Big money bowl games. But that's why they're talking about, hey, we're bringing all this money in, but we got to split it equally with these teams that suck. Do you think Michigan, Penn State, and Ohio State likes to be the team that puts all the efforts and money in to their program and brings all that money into the Big Ten and then splits it out with the likes of Indiana, Illinois, Purdue? I'm sure they don't. Luckily, they make so much money that's not that big of a deal to them. They have 100,000. All three of those have 100,000 seat stadiums that are filled every week. Think about how much money they're making. Period. But, no, I don't see anything changing. I don't see how they can, other than making personnel change. And Indiana is not a school that does they don't do things in season very often. It is rare. It has to be you can see where they are right now. And nothing has been done. I don't know that they will make a change at offensive coordinator in the middle of the season, because I don't know who you could get. To my knowledge, there's no one on that staff right now that could be the interim OC. So I think they might be kind of screwed. Andrew says they sold a ton of beer against Akron, made a fortune. How do they sell a ton of beer in this game versus any other game? And I'm not sure how much of that money IU makes. I mean, they obviously get a portion of it, but it's also going to Upland. Sean says he will be a lame duck coach next year. That is a very likely scenario, because after December 1st, that buyout goes from about 20 million to just under 8 million. Why there is such a discrepancy? That's bad financial planning. I don't know how you can write a contract that just put you in such a bad position. And we see this a lot. Texas A&M, they're kind of in that position. It's a little more understandable. It's Texas A&M. They brought in Jimbo Fisher. Boy, it's not working out. What Michigan State did. That was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. He had one great year. These schools go nuts. Somebody has a great year and they think, well, it's never going to happen again, so we got to give them $100 million. Oh, horse crap. You have to watch and let this stuff play out. If they're that sought after, save yourself the money. Indiana is not going I just don't know that Indiana has the I'm not sure the word I want to use. The desire to do an un-Indiana thing. You know, always want to make it Indiana. It's got to be about Indiana people. Oh, they got to be IU. Oh, there's no IU connection. Oh, who gives a crap? Do you need a connection or do you need wins? Do you need a connection or do you need success? Do you need a connection or do you need financial viability? It's just, that's how it's been. Add up the amount of buyouts IU has paid over the last several years. I think you should include the entire contract of Archie Miller. That was the worst hire in the history of IU athletics. I will never renege off of that statement. That's $26 million right there. 10 of it came from somebody who paid him to not coach. How much extra did Tom Crean's contract cost? They put the buyout where they had to keep him a year longer than they really wanted. I can't remember. But Indiana seems to have more problems with contracts and hiring decisions than any school that I'm aware of. John, am I supposed to have taken a break?
I mean, you can finish talking about what you're talking about, but then yes.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go ahead and take a break. I got off on a tangent. My bad. Answering that question, but it's yeah, we'll talk about it more when we come back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio here, brought to you by our good friends from the Wild Food Group and Andy Moore Honda, and our good buddy down at Sellersburg. If you're in Southern Indiana, go visit Dr. J. You need that championship smile. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
In the market. Got me on a tangent, man. Whoo, baby. Yeah, there are no changes coming, peeps.
You'll have about 9 minutes ish when we come back.
Okie dokie.
All right.
School. At the golf club at Eagle Point, students can play for the rest of 2023 for just $299. That's right, play as many rounds as you like for just $299. That's better than a birdie. But you don't have to be a student to play at Eagle Point. Go online to set your tee time or call 812-824-4040. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by K-Bello. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyne, presented by Wow Food Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, welcome back. It's Monday. We appreciate you being with us here. Called Matui from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, of course. Wished happy birthday to Don Fischer. Tomorrow is his birthday, so for all of you that don't know, I meant to do it while he was here, but I know he's glad I forget, and as a matter of forgot because he hates that stuff. But I texted him afterwards, and he said, yes, I am glad you forgot. But I was going to wish him a happy 41st birthday. Andrew says the Reds need to win. Man, don't even talk about the Reds. 9-0 lead over Pittsburgh. 9-0, John. What did the Reds do? They lost.
They gave up 9 runs.
They gave up more than that.
Well, they gave up a 9-run lead is how I should have worded that.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. To Pittsburgh. Not to Tampa Bay, not to Atlanta, not to Milwaukee, not to the Dodgers. They at least beat them yesterday. But
what do the Reds need to do to get
the Diamondbacks won yesterday, so I think they're screwed. What did the Cubs do?
Take a look here.
Looking for, I don't see the Cubs. Oh, the Cubs won. So they're not helping themselves. It's the last week. And right now,
you're in big trouble right now.
Phillies
2.5 games behind the Cubs.
Shit, they're behind the Marlins now. They're first of all, they are 2 games behind the Cubs and the Diamondbacks.
The good news is, though, you end your season with a 3-game series against the Cardinals.
That doesn't matter. They could play against Indiana. They just, dude, you have a 9-0 lead. That's I don't know how that even happens. How? Let's see. Let's go back. That was on the 20. That was Saturday, right? Yeah. They end up losing 13-12. It's just, you got to be kidding me with that. This is the first time the Pirates overcome a 9-run deficit for the first time since the team started in 1882.
Talk about being on the wrong side of history.
141 years.
Wow. Could you imagine if you had live bet the Pirates to win when they were down 9-0?
Oh. Could you imagine if you'd bet the Reds to win?
Well, you'd lose your money, obviously, but
you'd lose your mind. You would lose your mind.
I'm curious if you put $100 bet in for.
Well, yeah, but nobody's going
Pirates.
to do that. Nobody's going to do that.
Exactly. I'm curious what the payout would be because it's nuts.
A crazy amount, a lot, but that's unbelievable. Well, I guess it shouldn't say unbelievable, but no, I'm more unbelievable than how about Notre Dame, Ohio State? Didn't get a chance to talk about that. No, a great game. Notre Dame had them, could not hold them on a final drive. And Ohio State scores on the last play of the game with a running play, a la the Bush push and the Texas USC game, but it's crazy. The clock hits 0. And I wish I would have had you get the sound for Ryan Day. He went off. And on Lou Holtz, especially, because Lou Holtz had said that Ohio State loses under Ryan Day because they're not physical. He was, I wonder where Lou Holtz is now. It was kind of funny. He was not happy, but then he regained his composure, and then at the end, the reporter said, "Oh, thanks for your time, coach." He goes, "Thanks for your patience." Ohio State is a team that's going to get better. That's a tough game to win. I don't know how good Notre Dame really is, but that's a tough game to win. So, oh yeah. And on that final play, Notre Dame had 10 defensive players. They were missing a guy on the side they ran to. Didn't that come out of a timeout? That was crazy. Yeah, getting 10 players on the field. Mistakes in the games kill you. Stupid penalties. But how about the Indiana? We'll talk about penalties. Indiana only had 5 penalties for 50 yards, but they're all kind of critical, but it's nothing compared. Akron had 10 penalties for 98 yards. But didn't affect them because they had 474 yards of total offense, 211 through the air, and 263 yards on the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, really, all the rushing came from 2 players. Lorenzo Lingard ran for 113 as a running back, averaging 8 yards a carry. Akron's running back averaged 8 yards a carry against Indiana. DJ Irons, the quarterback, had 18 rushes for 141 yards. He averaged 8 yards, 7.8 yards a carry. He also threw for 194 yards. Threw 2 picks. One was a pick 6. Indiana had, there were 3 picks. Oh, Jeff Undercuffler. Who the hell was that? When did he get in to throw the ball? But that was one of the picks. Lewis Moore for Indiana, 2 picks. One of those a pick 6. But Cam Camper over 100 yards receiving on just 4 receptions. He had a long of 40 yards.
1 minute.
But, yeah, not fun. But we've got more coming up this week. Lots going on in the world of basketball recruiting. We'll get around to that. Trent Sisley's visit this weekend. We'll talk more about that along with the others that were here and see how all that went. I cannot thank everybody enough. Of course, thanks to Don Fischer, Dustin Dopirak, and most importantly, thanks to you guys. When we have no reason to be here without you, we greatly appreciate you all. Thanks to John for keeping us John, the producer, for keeping us between the white lines as well. We are back tomorrow to do this all again. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.